Damn, welcome back, Uno Knight. And guys, for a unit that's increasingly harder to obtain, I'm very disappointed in Ayame as a unit, and we'll get into why. So you guys are literally giving me hell asking me for an Ayame guide, because the more I look at her, the more disappointed I get, right? But then, no excuses, you guys asked for the guide, so we'll be talking about it, although the title is not in the normal form because we're mostly going to be discussing her kit, the flaws with it, and even the pros, right? But here's the thing, literally all her pros are also her cons, including her charm, and her charm is actually one of the best parts of her kit, right? Very unique, even though Jade has it as well, but yeah. So, specifically her pros are she actually has the highest attack in the entire game, 57,000, but then this shoots up to 73,706 with her artifact, which gives her plus 29%, which is good because that means all of the attack percent scaling will scale off this, and well, spoiler alert, literally all of her skills have attack percent multipliers, except for her charm, which is actually reliant on the unit with the highest attack because it literally doubles it, right? But we'll talk about that in a bit. So this is an issue because realistically you won't get that, and we'll explain why. So this brings us to our next topic, which is her decent multipliers on her kit again, right? Which is fantastic to have on the unit with the highest attack in the game. Literally her dot scales off her attack, but the thing is damage over time is also not very good in the game currently. We literally thought this would be like busted at the start. We were going like, guys, invest in damage over time units, so get better in the late game. Sadly, we're not really seeing that. If anything, they're becoming less and less useful, just because of the fact that Geo, Prim, and Talia literally have super powerful cleanses, right? So at level 3, she gets an extra cleanse, another one on her main, from 1 to 2, so literally double. Prim literally has my remove 3 debuffs on a full screen burst heal already, so Prim has one of the most annoying mains to fight against, man. When I see that mana bars start charging up, I start to get anxious, bro. Nah, I'm just kidding, bro. I want to kill her before then. Anyways, so lastly, her main actually has really good coverage, but this game doesn't want Ayame to be good, so she gives her 4 accuracy, right? Anyway, and that's why you miss everything. Because 4.6 meters wide and 7 meters long is actually pretty fat for an oblong in this game. By the way, the skill is actually really good against 3-2 and 2-3 formations, but not as well against 1-4 and 4-1 for obvious reasons, right? But then they just decided to be like, hey, let's give her 4 accuracy. So I was like, yeah, GG. So apart from that, you charge mana so unbelievably slowly, and she probably die before she gets her main off, especially in later stages, right? If you don't build your team properly. So the only actual redeeming factor about her is her charm, which doesn't think about any of these attack multipliers, because sadly, even though she has the highest attack in the entire game, you're not gonna get that, and we'll explain it now. So for context, an Origin plus 5 unit is roughly 70 to 80% stronger than a regular unit. So let's just say between that, right? 75%. So 73,706 divided by 1.75. This is the most that you could probably get with an epic Ayame with a max Origin artifact, right? And the biggest issue with this is that, for context, my Mephi is literally level 200, not even max level, only Origin plus 2, and she has 41,900 attack. So she's literally almost matching this, but then Mephi's kit is better, arguably, right? 41,940 attack is probably what I think I have my Mephi at right now. So anyways, we'll go into the depth into these issues, and we'll be talking about 3 main things. First of these 3 is the actual value of Ascensions, specifically the maths behind it, right? The next thing we'll talk about is, realistically speaking, how easy it is to obtain her. We'll end it off with her kit, and it also ties into her duplicates, right? The thing is, we'll talk about 2 things. We'll start off with the actual value of Ascensions. So when it comes to the value of Ascensions, for context, most of you people at stage 13, 14 onwards probably on average have an Origin unit as their DPS. Okay, then the average human being, alright, the normal Dawn, will not have Ayame at Origin. right? We'll have her at Epic. I do have her Epic Plus, but then I'm just unbelievably lucky, right? We don't talk about that. Anyways, so again, for context, a regular human being would have Ayame at Epic and their main DPS unit at Origin, whether it be, I don't know, Mephi, Naya, Velanna at Origin or onwards, right? So with Ayame literally only being 45% weaker, wait, let me just double check that, 1 over 1.45. So Ayame would only have 68.9%, funny number, 69% the amount of attack that a normal Origin unit can actually do. Now, apart from having this as her cap at Epic, the other cap that she has as being an Epic unit is that you cannot easily overlevel her, right? So you cannot rock her as a main DPS unit, because for the most part, I will be making a video on it soon. I literally am trying to figure out the level formula, which, spoiler alert, is a logarithmic function from what I've seen so far, right? With a few nuances, because every 10 levels, you do get a spike in terms of percentage increase. But anyways, we'll get to that after in a different video. The point is, you cannot overlevel her, where if you are at stage 14 onwards, you probably have a DPS unit level 200 plus, and your tanks and basically your other units at level 160. Sadly, you cannot do this with Ayame because again, she's Epic. She's pretty much locked to your level 6 characters, which are probably level 160 to be fair. So right, yeah. Now, apart from Ascensions already being an issue, we'll talk about how easy it is to actually get her to Origin in case we want her to be a functional member of society, right? So the thing is, we'll talk about two things, the pickup summons and the normal summons. If you're not familiar, it is actually harder to pick up Angel and Demon from pickup summons because the rate of picking up units that aren't rate up are lower. And the rate of picking up Angel or Demon are already a fifth of that of regular individual units. What this means is that it is actually easier to pick up Ayame from normal summons for two reasons. One is the hard pity at 30 pulls, and two, the rates are actually higher, right? We'll talk about that now. So since, if I could just find her, I already know she's triple S tier. So since Angel and Demon have a fifth of the chance of getting pulled compared to normal units, with the current pool of 32 units, two of being Angel and Demon, we know that their weight being a fifth each is 0.2 plus 0.2, right? Then we add this to the 30 other regular human beings, 30. Okay, now 40 over 30.4, because again, we have two special units and 30 mortals, right? So in the normal summons, this is the average pull rate for a regular unit. Now for Ayame and Adrian, they are 0.2632%, which is unbelievably low. Now this is already getting lower because if you're familiar, our previous one was 0.0272%. I believe this was 2 or 4 weeks ago. I literally have a video on this. In pickup summons, the odds of pulling them are even lower because they had to reduce the rates of other units to give the pickup unit 1.6% chance of being pulled compared to the normal 0.1315. So this inadvertently means that currently the odds of pulling Ayame are 0.0163%, right? So for context, let's say, I already have it up here. So let's say we try to pull in normal summons without factoring into pity, right? So on average, if we never hit pity in the normal summons, let's say we do 1,000 pulls, which is 210,000 Everstones, by the way. Our goal, 1 Ayame. We put it here, our probability, again we divide it by 100 because the one we saw, this one is already in percentage, brava. Then this one is divided by 100, so times 1,000, in 1,000 trials, one event, our odds are literally that is so unbelievably bad, it is absurd. For 210,000 Everstones, our chances of getting 1 Ayame is 23.14%. That is kinda sad. So with that in mind, we'll finally get into her kit, right? So her passive Alluring Mirror, this is actually similar to Mephi because Mephi also uses it in her sub-skill rotation, if I'm not mistaken, right? She pretty much uses this as S3 pretty much. With this one being S1, this is S2, this is pretty much S3. So the annoying thing about Ayame's sub-skill rotation is that she has an extra 4 to 5 seconds in her turn. Now the average unit has 20 seconds, with Ayame having around 24 to 25. You could probably argue that it's because of her S3, but then Mephi also uses S3, but then she doesn't add an extra 4 to 5 seconds to her turn, so that's something to keep in mind. She will cycle her skills a lot slower. Then Ayame is the same thing, S1, S2, S3. Now with the average unit having a sub-skill rotation of only factoring into 2 sub-skills, such as say Catherine, she only uses Agnes de Incredo. This means that her sub-skill rotation is effectively 20 seconds, with Ayame having 25, meaning that sure, she does use that extra turn for a good skill, but then she won't be able to use these other skills as much, where the main source of her burst damage is actually from her sub-skills and her main. This already doesn't help with the fact that she charges mana so unbelievably slowly that it just completely like destroys her kit. Now we'll talk about it now. So Winding Grip, this doesn't do any damage on impact, but then the good thing about this is that at level 3 this actually becomes the size of Catherine's Credo, which is Catherine's invincibility skill, so 2.5 meters, right? So this is, just imagine Catherine's invincibility, but then the center of that circle is instead the enemy, and everyone affected are the units around there. Then we have Encroaching Night. This actually does damage and impact. This can go upwards of 200%, right? Because 80% plus 120% for 200% damage. And then a dot of 80% times 4 is 320% plus 200%. Potential 520% with 200% damage on impact. On the highest on the unit with the highest attack in the game. This is actually this is busted, right? But again, sadly, we don't have access to it because we're normal mortals, right? Then main. Now we have this 340% potential. Now the problem is, again, the target has to be bleeding. But then the good thing about this is that she does have a damage over time 70%, times 4 280%. But again, this is cleansable. So yeah, her kit is actually pretty good if the enemy had 0 cleanses, right? What this... Sorry, I think that was my Discord. So what this actually means is that, to be fair, everyone thinks, oh, Velanna needs Ayame. Brava, to be honest, I think Ayame needs Velanna. Yeah, that's pretty much it, to be fair. Her main, we already discussed it, 340%. Now for context, this is actually really bad. Now it is big, so you'll cover a lot, and then it also has a damage over time of extra 280%. So this is 340 plus 280 is 620% potential. But again, if the unit's not bleeding, you miss out on 150% damage. And I could say, oh, but Mephi's main also has to be like, the unit has to be analyzed, right? But here's the thing, Mephi's analysis is pretty much up all the time. It's literally not an issue, and she still has so much crit rate in her kit that even if she doesn't hit this 150%, 2 things. One, she shreds defense by 15% of every unit that she hits. And she already has 230% base. What does Ayame have? 190%. And guess what? Your Ayame doesn't have that much attack, brava. Let's be honest. But then here's the thing again. Her kit is actually really good. That's why when you fight Ayame, if you see those Ayames on the enemy team that are Origin, level 200, this is the reason why they're so strong. Because when that Ayame hits the main on all of your units, she hits like a freight train. But then when you try to do the same to her, she hits like a wet noodle, bro. Like, this is literally sad. So she has very poor multipliers, even though she has very high attack in the game, and you're not gonna get that high attack in the game. So anyways, now let's talk about the good things, right? Because fun fact, Honglan's coming out next week. Alright, so the good thing about this is that we're not gonna spoil it because we do have a Honglan analysis this weekend, so you know, keep your eyes peeled for that. So subscribe if you haven't yet. Anyways, so her passive, yeah, she does reduce speed by 14% and reduces evasion by 21%. Guys, by the way, we're talking about Ayame's good things now and her team synergies. So speed decrease, Asian. Speed decrease changes to 14%, evasion changes to minus 21. Remember one of the issues of Ayame? Her accuracy is 4. So instead of increasing her accuracy, why not reduce the enemy's evasion? And that's why, boom, Honglan's here, baby. And keep in mind, this is a passive. Okay, so this is really exciting. So, evasion's already getting nerfed. It's only been a month, bro. That's pretty sad. No, I'm still gonna use Lindsay, don't worry. So apart from that, she does actually pair well with Mephi. Okay. Now, because here's the thing, Ayame does have this thing where she adds 15% attack to everyone. So yeah, now we'll talk about the units that she actually pairs well with. Adrian. Now, you guys are probably familiar with this because you probably fought Adrian Ayame combo so many times, right? And for good reason. Adrian is a tank, so boom, already there you have a tank unit with Ayame, and then she actually pulls the enemy, so boom, everyone's gonna get hit, and then they're gonna get bound with Ayame, right? So boom, 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 boom. I don't know why I'm saying boom, right? Another good tank to go with her is Chloe, because Chloe, especially if you're fighting melee DPS units, she can actually taunt all of them towards her, which is really good because she taunts everyone except Jacqueline at the start. So there, you already have a tank for if you're fighting a range unit, for mostly range units with Adrian. Then if you're fighting melee, boom, we got Chloe. Claire, I mean, also works, I guess, but then I don't know why. Claire's just a good unit, just goes with everyone, right? Now, I would not pair her with Naya, even though she does do extra damage, just because they kind of overlap, where Naya would make... Sorry, where is it? Highest attack unit to sleep, especially with her main. And then if the unit is charmed, like this is pretty much cancelled out. Like, what's the point, right? So another one is, well, pretty much everyone in the SS tier, right, would go with her. I like Geo as well because it increases speed. But then again, you have to have the basics of team building down, right? I'm not sure if I'm gonna make a guide on that or if I'll leave that to Genuinely Tired because, you know, he's good with that, right? So yeah, again, guys, we're gonna end it off on one banger, which is one of her biggest pros. Remember how we mentioned Honglan, right? So Honglan reduces mana, boom, right? So little spoiler. And Honglan reduces evasion, so boom, another thing rectified. And Ayame also reduces evasion, so it's like boom, the enemy will have, I don't even, mana reduction over time with this one, right? So Ayame literally does damage over time to the enemy's mana, which, you know, I'm pretty excited about, especially if we get this higher, 500, which is probably like 5%, we're not exactly sure. 500 over time every 2 seconds is crazy because Encroaching Night actually lasts 8 seconds, right? So this could mean that everyone there could lose roughly 20% of their mana. And here's another thing, Honglan reduces the enemy's speed. What does this mean? The enemies will charge their mana slower, bro. You get where I'm going with this? If anything, Ayame looks like a control unit because if you actually pair these units together, if you reduce their mana, you reduce their speed, and they get their mana slower, guess what? The enemy won't be able to cleanse. You get what I'm saying here? Now, lastly, who do I want to pair her with? Obviously, Velanna, if I can just find her, right? Now, again, Velanna fixes the fact that Ayame's blades are cleansable because if Velanna uses her ult and then Ayame, pretty much Ayame's kit is activated. Not just Ayame's, Velanna's as well. So boom, wombo combo. Now, the sad thing is that 2 days after, or it's been 3 days now, we're not really seeing Velanna and Ayame played together as much anymore, but that's probably just because of the issues of Ayame's kit. But then, from what I can see, it seems like they're adding new units that are helping out Ayame as well indirectly. Now, the sad thing is, if they release these units and they're all very good, Ayame might no longer have a place, right? But then, in the end, I still love Ayame as a unit. It seems like she might get stronger, especially with the release of Honglan. But is this enough to actually pull her out of the depths? Probably not. But she is a fun unit. And guess what? She's a collector's item at the end of the day. And she's still better than most units, guys. Remember, she is A tier for a reason because she's better than all of these. Which, to be fair, I kind of agree with. Renee's at the bottom of the tier list. Not gonna lie, I told all of you guys Renee's the worst unit, not gonna lie. So yeah. Guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, then please do consider subscribing because for the rest of the week, this is our video schedule. We'll be releasing a video for a full leveling guide, which, guys, very heavy maths, so you might love that. And I'll be explaining the point of that maths when it comes to leveling your actual units. And we'll be releasing our Honglan pre-release analysis because I know how much you guys love that, right? We nailed it on the first try. we'll keep it up. We'll keep our head low and actually try to do things right. So guys, if you have any questions on any of my videos, please join the Discord and please subscribe and leave a comment, because I'm always available to speak, right? So yeah, it's been Uno Night, and I'll see you in the next one.